An attempt to gag the media? Well, Kenyan journalists say no to attempts by Parliament to curtail their freedoms. For more, we now turn to Africa 54's Ndimyake Mwakalyelye. Ndimi.
Well, thank you, Vincent. Yes, Kenyan journalists took part in countrywide protests against controversial media legislation ahead of a debate in Parliament, and that took place yesterday. Critics say rules laid down in the bill would curb investigative reports on corruption that plague Kenyan public life.
Freedom! We demand freedom!
Kenyan journalists and activists were out in the streets Tuesday, protesting a proposed law they say stunts democracy and infringes on rights in a country which enjoys broad press freedoms.
We're protesting against a proposed draconian media bill that will penalize journalists for doing their work.
Carrying placards and chanting, others mouths taped shut to symbolize attempts to gag the media, they marched in their hundreds to Parliament buildings to present a petition signed by the Editors Guild. Lawmakers passed the bill in November, triggering an outcry from opposition groups and the media. Kenya's President Uhuru Kenyatta vetoed the bill last week, saying it was unconstitutional and sent it back to Parliament. This was his first veto since taking office. Under the pre-amended bill, reporters and media houses found to have broken a code of conduct faced fines of up to 1 million Kenyan shillings or 20 million shillings, respectively. It would have also forced Kenyan outlets to get at least 45% of their content and advertising from local providers, a move media executives worried would have hurt revenue.
Having a law that actually curtails the freedoms that we've so enjoyed in passing information and acting as the watchdog on behalf of the public, I think it's going to keep us in a position whereby we are not able to express ourselves the way it's supposed to be.
Critics say rules laid down in the bill curb investigative reports on corruption that plague Kenyan public life. Some reports have been critical of public servants and parliamentarians lobbying to raise their salaries.
There's an attempt to target journalists, and there has been bad blood between journalists and Parliament over the salary issues. And they are using that anger to force clauses which will gag media, and that is why we are fighting.
The bill set up a tribunal that would have drawn up and enforced a code of conduct for journalists. The make of the tribunal is the bone of contention. Amendments made by the president propose that a communications and multimedia appeals tribunal be free of media commercial and government interests.
The question of the other media, the print media, and the other elements of media, including the conduct of journalists, was handled through the Media Council, which is a self-regulatory body. The regulation now is going to be by a body independent even of the media, which is what the public would want. I think one of the things we must not assume that the media is also the greatest protector of the public interest and so should regulate itself in-house. So we are moving away from governmental regulations, which should not be allowed. It would be unconstitutional, it would be wrong, it will kill the media in Kenya, but also away from sole media regulation to co-regulation by a independent institution.
President Kenyatta recommended that some of the sections of the bill be deleted and changes made to reflect the constitutional threshold within the tribunal. And it's just now a waiting game for many of Kenya's media players to see how Parliament will vote with the proposed changes by President Kenyatta.